Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidates interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Kathleen Fullen, and I would like to introduce Kevin Monroe, running for Alder in District 18. As we begin, please give an opening statement about the educational, vocational, and civic experience you have, which prepares you for this office, and why you are running for Alder.
Hi, Kathleen. Thanks for having me. Um, I'm running for District 18 Alder on the Madison's north side. It's a very residential and blue collar district, much like what I grew up in northern Wisconsin. I moved to Madison in 2008 with my partner, now wife. We've been living on the north side since 2013. We own a house here back on Mandrake. It's a fantastic area. We always get the cranes in the spring. Um, I had originally gone to school for welding. I was a welder fabricator for Manitowoc Cranes for several years, and then we moved here in 2008. Unfortunately, that was the same time as the housing crash. So at that time, I was let go of my welding position. So I went back to school, and through our Department of Workforce Development, was able to go back to technical school. I got another 2-year degree in biotechnologies through MATC. And at that time, I also went through their stem cell certificate program, which was, I was the first group to graduate through that. And since then, I've been working in biotech in Madison, currently at a company called FCDI. And through those things, I have really developed a skill of taking large, vague ideas and contextualizing them and making them into something that is usable and understandable, and especially in my scientific area, often under FDA regulations. So working within government departments and regulations for things like that. As far as volunteering, I have worked with animal welfare in the past at a local organization called Heartland Farm Sanctuaries. And I've also worked with the League of Women Voters for voter registration drives and absentee ballot pickups. I currently do things like voter registration drives and election poll working. I find it gives me an opportunity to give a voice to everybody that wants to be heard.
How would you evaluate the city's current efforts to address homelessness and increase the amount of affordable housing? Are there additional steps the city should take to address these issues?
We have taken some good steps. And we have things like the tiny home projects, which are great starting points to hopefully help people find permanent homes. Um, but we also have things where we just went through with the Madison Ice arenas where we forfeited those properties as well as $1.6 million debt. The Hartmeyer area is close to bus transit. It could have been a fantastic affordable housing area. I understand that those ice arenas mean a lot to a lot of people, but they could have been very helpful to many people, many more people. Additionally, I've read recently in Cap Times that there was the people talking about affordable housing being concentrated on 1 to 2 person occupancies. And I feel like we need to increase this and focus more on family occupancies, especially here on the north side, when we can get more families in here and encourage a generational growth.
What actions or programs would you support to enhance public safety in Madison? And in particular, what is your position on the use of body cameras by Madison police officers given the recent demonstration project?
Yeah, the demonstration project happened here in our district, and I would very much so like to see them implemented. I know that they've gotten the studies back, so a third party did the analysis on all the research that was done. So we can use this data and start implementing these body cams. I really see no negative impact to this. It increases transparency. It gives us more data to work with. We we all know eyewitnesses aren't the most reliable witnesses. So when we can have actual footage to go back and look on, it just makes it easier on everybody. Additionally, I have seen reports of the MPD trying to use redaction fees as a way to block that body camera footage from being released. So we need to continue with, I believe it's Act 253, and not allow them to have those redaction fee um, rights.
In the wake of the recent referendum to increase property taxes, what are your priorities for the city budget?
make sure that we're using the budget fairly across the city, first of all, but also to look at where we have redundancies so we can avoid doing property tax hikes in the future. I mean, I'm sure we have some offices that have several HR IT departments and those can be combined. Uh, and just looking for things like that where we can save money rather than having to raise the property taxes. I know here on the north side, mine has gone up a couple $1,000s since we've been here. It's hard to deal with some years.
How should Madison balance the need for development with other concerns such as traffic, historic preservation, and conservation of natural areas?
So now that we have the BRT, which has been fantastic in connecting the east and west routes, getting the north and south routes going would be fantastic to make sure everybody has access to the entire city. But also as we're doing this development, we need to keep our natural resources in mind. As I stated earlier, the north side is a largely residential area, and I think that our natural resources are part of what draws people to the north side. This past week, I went on a tour of the River Food Pantry in our area, and they're working on a new development that's triple the size of what they currently have. But in that, they are going to be having a fully electrical kitchen, solar panels for energy, and they're going to be using geothermal for heat. So there's definitely ways that we can work with the city and the types of technology that we have to be more sustainable as we build out.
What are the most critical issues that you see facing the people in your district, and what would you propose to address these?
Again, here on the north side, people are having issues with hikes in the property taxes. It's just, I mean, I feel like that also comes back to not fully explaining what those property taxes are being used for. But it does become an issue with people not being able to pay those taxes at the end of the year. So just trying to find, again, as I said, those redundancies and easing that burden on people.
What would you like to say to the viewing audience as we complete this interview?
Yeah, I hope you get a chance to represent my district. I saw what was going on with our previous alder. I'd always been wanting to get involved, and with some urging with some friends, I finally threw my hat in the ring. Um, and I'm happy to get the opportunity. I really hope that I get a chance to represent my district and be able to raise the voices of the people that want to be heard.
I want to thank Kevin Monroe for speaking with us and thank the viewing audience for taking the time to know your candidates. I'd like to remind everyone that the general election is Tuesday, April 1st. Every election is important. Please vote. On behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, thank you for joining us.